Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from Dad in Dilemma 10, who says, would I be the arsehole for telling my son to not wear his favorite jacket anymore because it looks gay? I'm a single dad to my son, Oliver, 10 male. He's with me most of the time and he sees his mum every other weekend. He's an awesome kid, creative, full of energy, and he's got his own sense of style that's pretty unique. He loves bright colors, nail polish, and clothes that some people might think are more girly. If I'm honest, I think Oliver might be gay, and I'm totally cool with that. I've always made it clear that whoever he turns out to be, I'll support him 100%. Because of how he dresses and acts, Oliver's had a really tough time with other kids. He got bullied so badly at his old school that I ended up pulling him out and homeschooling him. The school wasn't helpful at all, and it was heartbreaking to see him go through that. He struggled to make friends, and it kills me to see him feel so alone. Now, he's starting back at school in September, and he's really excited about it. But recently we were at a cousin's birthday party and Oliver wore his favorite jacket, which is a bright pink, sparkly one that he loves. Some of the other kids started picking on him, saying he looked gay. I stepped in, got the kids to apologize, but it ruined the day for Oliver. I'm worried about how things will go when he's back at school. I've been thinking about whether I should talk to Oliver about maybe toning it down a bit, especially when he's around new people. Not because I want him to change who he is, but because I hate seeing him get hurt and feel like an outcast. I don't want him to feel like he has to hide who he is, but I also don't want him to be picked on or excluded because of it. But then I feel like a complete arsehole for even thinking about this. I don't want him to think that I'm ashamed of him or that he has to conform to be accepted. I want him to feel free to be himself, but I'm also scared of him being hurt by others who don't get it. So, would I be the arsehole if I talk to Oliver about maybe being a bit more low-key with his style? Accomplished Mango says, do not dull his shine because other people don't understand him. I understand it may be coming from a place of protection, but it needs to be addressed with potential aggressors, not with forcing your son to change who he is. Opie says, but when you can't do any more with potential aggressors? I have done, and will continue to do everything I can. But sadly, I can't literally watch his back 24/7, even though I would if I could. Anytime he has a comment made to him, he breaks his little heart, and it's so devastating seeing him go through that again and again. OK Cancel It replies to that saying, you gotta teach him to defend himself. My parents were like you. They forced me to hide so I could assimilate better. It just made me believe everything everyone was whispering anyway. He needs to understand that there's nothing wrong with him. That starts with you. Don't protect him, teach him to protect himself. Bethboy UK says, OP, don't listen to this idealistic BS. I was that kid. I was weird, dressed odd, always stood out. Time after time my parents told me to be myself, to stand my ground, hold my head high and be different. I got beaten up and bullied for years and it fucking sucked. Well, I sure am a unique individual, and I'm now one with serious neurosis and scars, the price of proudly being different. People who say it's not on him, teach the bullies, aren't the ones taking the beatdowns every day on the way to school. Sometimes it's useful to keep your fucking head down for a quieter life and learn how to pick your battles. I talked a lot more frankly and far less idealistically to my son about similar issues, and his school life has been a lot less tempestuous. Bubbles Forever replied to that saying, I'm sorry for your situation, but it shouldn't be taken as the standard. Sometimes it's worse to assimilate. We see time and time again what a toll pretending to be something you are not can take on a person's psyche. I hope what you've told your son isn't actively hurting him mentally / forcing him to be something he's not. I was bullied. Not physically usually, but I also stood my ground, and eventually the bullies either got bored or realized I wasn't an easy target and could be just as mean as them. It always rattled them. Maybe it's different with girls, I don't know, but when they went low, I went lower, and they always backed off eventually. I never changed, and my family was instrumental in that. I have no idea who or what I'd be if I didn't have their support. Please don't stifle your son. Assimilation is easier, but I've seen what it does to people like us. They're always mentally worse off. There's a difference between assimilation and fighting back. Another commenter says, no one's an asshole here. You want to protect your son. You think the best way to do that is through conformity. I don't think you're an asshole, but there may be other ways of handling this. Teach your son unbridled self-confidence and clever comebacks. Teach him how to stand up to bullies, disarm them with humor and reverse heckling. Don't teach him that the key to acceptance is not to be himself. He'll internalize that toxicity into his worldview. Kids are notoriously mean. He'll look to you for validation, and he's better off getting it from you than none at all. Haunting Nebula says you're the arsehole. Instead of telling him to tone it down, talk to him about how to feel confident even when people disagree with how he is. By telling him to act/dress different, you are showing him that he should hide and that there is something about him that you are ashamed of. So OP came in with their first update and said, hey all, it's been about 26 days since my original post, and I thought I'd give an update now that Oliver has had his first week back at school. I can happily say that so far, things are going much better than I'd hoped. Over the summer, Oliver and I had a really important heart-to-heart. I sat him down and told him just how incredibly proud I am of the person he is becoming. I made sure he knew that there is absolutely nothing he could ever do that would change the way I see him or make me love him any less. Honestly, it was a bit emotional, and I even got a bit choked up. I told him that if wearing his favorite jackets, the one that's caused some hurt before, made him happy, I'd stand behind him 100%. But I also wanted to make sure he was prepared. I explained that while I'll always be there for him, I can't always be around to protect him, and he might have to stand up for himself if kids make fun of him. I made it clear that this doesn't mean he should change anything about who he is, but that he needs to be ready to handle it if anyone says anything cruel. Oliver understood, and we spent the summer coming up with some playful comebacks together. He really wanted to take the jacket with him to school, so we made it a bit of a project. Imagining the kind of things kids might say and crafting witty replies that he could fire back with. It was actually pretty fun, and I think it helped him feel more confident about it. Now, back to school. His new teacher knows all about his past struggles with bullying, and she's been amazing. She's keeping a close eye on things and making sure he feels safe and comfortable. It's made such a difference already, and Oliver's first week couldn't have gone better. He even made a friend, a boy named Sam, and they've really hit it off. They're planning to meet up tomorrow at the Wacky Warehouse, and Oliver can't stop talking about it. It's been a long time since I've seen him this excited about spending time with someone his age. I know it's still early days, but seeing him come home happy and smiling each day has been such a relief. Thanks to everyone who gave advice and encouragement on my original post. I really took a lot of it to heart, and I think it made a big difference in how I approached all of this. And then OP came in with what they titled their final update and said, hey, I just wanted to hop on and give a small update about Oliver's playdate over the weekend. Firstly, when Oliver was getting ready, he wanted to wear all of his flamboyant clothes. He asked me if I thought it was a good idea. His friend had seen him in his jacket, but he was a little worried how he would react to the full Oliver. I told him to wear whatever he wanted, and if his friend was worth being friends with, they would accept him for exactly who he is. This made Oliver smile. He wore his full Oliver outfit. When we were walking in, I could feel Oliver getting a bit nervous. He was bullied so much in his last school for how he was, so I understood why. I held his hand tight and gave it 2 squeezes. This means I love you, something I learned to teach him from Reddit actually. The friend's dad was with him and he looked at Oliver and gave a little curious look, but apart from that, it was fine. The boy said he loved Oliver's clothes. They spent about 4 hours playing and we ended up eating together. On the way home, I told Oliver how proud I am of the little man he is. I'm so proud how he is so willing to be himself and so brave to continue despite any backlash he gets. I love him so much. This is my final update on this account. I don't know if I'll ever show you these posts, Oliver. Maybe in a few years when you're older so we can laugh at how worried I was about you. Your dad is so proud of you. I think you're the most amazing person in the whole world, even when you drive me absolutely nuts. I am so lucky to get to be your father. I'm so lucky you're in my life. I love you. And I'm so glad that it worked out for them and that they got the support of OP and the teachers in this situation as well. You hear absolute horror stories in school. Faced it myself about bullying and then getting no support. I mean, in my school, the bullies got more support than the people that was actually being bullied. So I was really nervous giving my comment on this because I didn't want it to come out in the wrong way. But, you know, my heart is for Oliver all the way, just so you understand that. But I felt like OP was right, that the reality of bullying isn't as simple as just being yourself and staying strong. Like, and I'm just comparing it to my own bullying here, so, you know, I'm projecting a bit. But different situations and different schools have different levels of danger, from emotional to physical threats. And, you know, as I said, having been bullied myself, I know sometimes keeping your head down isn't cowardice, it's just survival, which I'm hanging my head when I'm saying that because it shouldn't be the way. And I 100% know that. But I really did like OP's approach, giving him the tools to make the decisions himself and telling him what potentially people could be like. Reading those situations, making informed choices about expressing himself, rather than just telling him to hide or be himself no matter what. And again, I very much know this is my own projection here because I see some of the comments talking about standing up to bullies and etc, etc. If I would have said anything to my bullies, I'd have the shit kicked out of me. But once again, I'm so glad that things did work out for them. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next user is called Chroma Sparkles, and it says, reach out to the guy who rejected me. So, I, 31 female, was seeing a guy, 38 male, for about a month. We went on 7 dates total. We slept together twice. He seemed very excited about me in the first 3 weeks, planning dates, kissing, holding hands, general PDA in public. He paid for every meal and activity, and he texted me daily. We had great conversations. Everything just seemed to be heading towards us happily dating. Then this past week I suddenly noticed him slowly fading me. And yesterday when I asked if he was available at all this week, he sent me a text apologizing profusely, saying he thinks we should see other people. I simply replied while bawling my eyes out, "It's okay. Good luck with everything." I deleted my Bumble account almost instantly after he sent me that message because I was ready to give up. But I remade it today. Today, after swiping a few times, his profile shows up and he deleted his and made a new one as well. No idea why, but that shows me he didn't break it off with me for another woman. Of course, like a dork, I still swiped right, holding out some kind of dumb hope that we'll match again. Now, normally when I'm rejected by a guy, whether things were going well or bad, I say my little good luck message and move on. But I honestly feel like this guy and I were on the way to something special. Now, I know that nothing I will say will necessarily change his mind, but for some reason, I really want to send him a message. Maybe in like a week or two, after some time has passed. I want to let him know how I felt about him because I never really got the chance to. I'd actually been planning on telling him this week how I was developing feelings for him. He was nothing but a gentleman. Very nice, generous, and he made me feel really special for the first time in a long time. And I really feel like he was developing feelings for me too. He proved it with his actions and words, which left me feeling like he was genuine. So for him to end things so abruptly has kind of left me confused. I know people are allowed to just suddenly change their minds with no explanation, and he's well within his rights to. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't hoping that the message would get him to change his mind, or at the very least, get the door open so that we can talk more about what happened. But I'm not a complete fool. I know more than likely he will read it and not respond, even though we didn't end on bad terms. Even knowing that it most likely won't make a difference. I still want to send it because I really do want him to know how much I liked him and appreciated him, even if he couldn't care less enough to respond. I feel like it'd be very cathartic for me, and again, whether he responds or not will give me some closure because I will have said everything that's been on my mind and in my heart for the past month. Should I go for it, or don't waste my time? Edit, you're alright. I won't send him anything. I might still write out the message like I originally intended for my own personal catharsis, but I will not send it to him. I won't make a fool of myself chasing after someone who told me they weren't interested. If he wants to reach out to me, he will. And if I never hear from him again, which I most likely won't, then that's my closure. Thank you for all the responses, even the ones that were a bit harsh. The first commenter said to this one, to be honest, if it was the right person for you, it wouldn't be so difficult and they wouldn't have said, we should see other people. Cut your losses, heal, and move on. He isn't worth your time. You should never have to convince anyone to be with you. If you feel like you have to, then maybe work on your self-confidence a bit. Till you believe that someone who deserves to be with you sees your value and won't just walk away. You got this. Next commenter says, honestly, if I were you, I wouldn't reach out and would move on. I would also squash every idea about thinking you guys were on your way to having something special. In the ideal beginnings of a connection/relationship, you want the enthusiasm to come from both sides and to grow, not diminish. You had a 1-month whirlwind romance crash and burn. This could possibly fall under the umbrella of love bombing. After 7 dates and 30-ish days, you want someone that wants to continue seeing how things go because they too value the dates and conversations and sex. Rejection is a part of life. It sucks, but it is what it is. Don't hope or ask for closure externally. Give it to yourself internally. Go on dates with other guys and get this guy out of your mind. If he was ideal and things were meant to be, you two would have a dinner date for tomorrow. Whatever you do, don't give up on dating just yet. Good luck. And one more commenter who says, this sounds like a situation where the advice, write a letter and don't send it, would apply. Since you don't seem concerned about looking foolish, the only other downside is that he might never even acknowledge receiving or reading it. So you might always be in a position of questioning. And as OP said after that post that they didn't send the letter in the end, but they might be writing it. But 3 years later, OP came in with an update and said, about 3 years ago, I made this post asking if I should reach out to a guy I was seeing after he rejected me. The general consensus was no, and I didn't. But 3 months after I made that post, he actually reached out to me. We did not speak to each other at all for those 3 months, and I didn't go on any dates with anyone else. My heart dropped when I saw the text from him, but I was still skeptical. After about 3 days of texting, he asked me to dinner. I grilled him on why he rejected me and why he decided to reach back out. I wanted to make sure he was not playing any games. If I had caught even a hint of it, I would have cut him off immediately. I'll be vague on the reason he gave for rejecting me for privacy purposes, but basically he ended things because he thought there was an incompatibility between us, even though he really liked me. He didn't want to drag things out and then break it off after one or both of us had caught major feelings. So I asked him why he then decided to come back, and basically he said that he realized that we had something really good going. He really liked me and he would be willing to overlook the incompatibility because after he sat and thought about it, it wasn't that big of a deal in the long term. Note, it wasn't anything like kids, marriage, or anything major. Basically, he kind of made an assumption and ended things too early when he probably should have just waited and talked it out with me. He acknowledged his mistake and apologized multiple times. I also asked him if he'd been seeing anyone else in the 3 months we were not talking, and he said no. He hadn't even been on any date since me, because he had never given me a reason not to believe him. I chose to. I was just trying to make sure that he wasn't using me as a rebound after he got dumped or something. So, long story short, we've been together ever since we went to that dinner, and 3 years later, we are now engaged. We are madly in love, and he is truly my best friend. My mum loves him, his mum loves me, he loves my fur babies, and they all love him, so all is good. I decided to make this post not to brag, but to try and encourage some people to stop cutting others off so soon, or always assuming bad intentions when someone comes back. Believe me, in the past I've been led on and used by men and probably should have cut them off. But looking back, the signs were there and I chose to ignore them. My now fiancé has been nothing but a parade of green flags, but I was still cautious in the beginning of us dating. As much as I liked him, if he had shown me any red flags, I would have been gone. He came correctly and didn't play any games. He asked me to be his girlfriend without me having to beg for it, and he literally told me, I didn't reach out with any intention other than asking you to be my girlfriend. Don't be afraid of being someone's second choice, because essentially we are all someone's second choice. If someone comes back to you, don't just assume they're coming back with bad intentions, unless they treated you badly from the beginning. But if someone was kind, caring, generous, etc., and maybe things just didn't work out the first time for some reason, it won't hurt to try again. It's just really important to make sure the person isn't playing games with you, and if you see that happening, leave. Okay, this is really rambly. Sorry. Thanks for reading. That last paragraph really made me feel flat. Don't be afraid of being someone's second choice. Was that just me? Have I read it in the wrong way or something? So now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and much love.